think, Marge. All I need is a title.
So, people might wonder about what exactly atheists believe. There is some confusion about this issue, in part caused by theists whose goal it is to muddy the issue, sow confusion, or comfort or console themselves, or perhaps some combination or collection of all three of these reasons. They do this by saying things like, you only call yourself an atheist because you don't want to submit to the authority of God, or you call yourself an atheist because you want to continue in your sinful habits, or finally, you aren't really an atheist, you really at some level believe in God, or something else that would roughly fit into one of these statements, and I have heard all three of them. So, the first foundational point about atheism is simple. An atheist does not believe in God. From there, one can state their outlook on whether or not one believes that God can exist. The hard atheist believes that there is no God, and he or she does not care whether there is one. A soft atheist does not believe in God, but keeps the possibility that God may in some form exist. Finally, we have the wishful atheist who does not believe in God, but wishes that there was one, possibly the Christian God. The common factor is that atheists, no matter their outlook, do not believe in God or other supernatural beings. The second atheist foundational point is one that you will hear a lot. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. This is to say that when a Christian claims that there is a God, it is up to them to provide the proof. They are the ones saying that God exists, therefore they have to provide the proof of their claim. It is not up to the atheist to prove that God does not exist, because you cannot prove a negative. Some Christians go even further and make the absolute claim. They know God exists, and just look around. There's proof of his existence everywhere. This is making an absolute claim with no real evidence, whereas if one makes an absolute claim, the burden is to provide absolute proof. Another foundational point of atheism is that anything that someone can attribute to God can also be attributed to anyone or anything else. For example, the first verse in the Bible reads, "In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty, darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters." However, one can always say, "In the beginning the force created the heavens and the earth," or "the great spaghetti monster created the heavens and the earth." The point is that just because the Bible says it happened does not mean that it happened that way or at all. And this is not to be stubborn, obtuse, or arrogant about any of this. A local pastor said that I simply should admit that I'm rebelling against God. I replied later that it was a short rebellion and that I won. It's hard to be in rebellion against something that you don't believe in. We as atheists do not challenge Christianity because we hate God or Christians. We do so because, first off, they are in control of a lot of the government that is intent on making laws that affect our lives. Now, they might say the same in regards to themselves and point to legal precedents about the legalization of same-sex marriage. But the truth is that these laws have been put into place by people who are more than 90% of them are professed Christians, and most of them swear an oath on a Bible to uphold the Constitution. And I would dare say that most of them believe that this country was founded on Christian ideals. Now, most atheists argue from the point of view of science and the spread of intellect, pointing out that there is no scientific basis for the belief of the God of the Bible. There is no archaeological or paleological or any other recorded history that verifies the existence of Adam, Eve, none of their descendants, although a Google search on the subject of Eve's burial suggests that she was buried near the town of Jeddah in what is now Saudi Arabia, although it also reminds us helpfully that at the time of Eve's death there was no Africa, in quotes. There is also no scientific proof of the existence of Noah, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Jacob's family, including Joseph, and there is no proof of the existence of Moses, who apparently was a fusion of a number of ancient historical characters, including notably Hammurabi of ancient Mesopotamia, where, as we speculated in our last episode, the ancient Jews obtained much of their material to copy and co-opt into what became the creation story at the beginning of the book of Genesis. Now, at this point, you might ask what you should do if you are an atheist about to go into a debate with a Christian about religion. Perhaps the first thing you should do is remember to be respectful. It does yourself, an atheist, no good whatsoever to come across as vulgar. You probably want to come across as coming from a scientific viewpoint, not the thug viewpoint. So refrain from vulgarity and refrain from calling Christians idiots, even if that's what you think of them. Similarly, my own first rule of atheism is that I don't believe in God, Satan, heaven, hell, or the Bible. In each of my discussions with local pastors, I cite that rule perhaps once, and then don't bring it up again unless absolutely necessary. I assume that the Christians know my stance on the issue since I cited it once. Likewise, I assume that Christians believe every word in the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, so I don't worry about trying to disprove something I don't believe in anyways. The idea is to allow both sides in this argument to step out from behind the established trenches and have a real honest conversation about whatever issue you're talking about. If the conversation devolves, if it comes down to every time the Christian says something, the atheist replies to, well, I don't believe in the Bible, then the conversation really won't go anywhere and turns into a huge dick-waving match. So, to sum things up, we now know the basic tenets of atheism, and we recognize that other people may have the same, different, more or less ideas that they hold on to in their atheism. The ideas I presented are my own, but they are also an attempt to cover what most atheists believe. I also discussed how one should approach a debate-style discussion with a theist, that you should state your atheism perhaps once, and then again only if necessary, and let the intellect, the science, and the strength of your own arguments outweigh whatever creationist nonsense the Christian or the theist throws back at you. Good luck in your discussions, and if you would like to tell me about your encounters, feel free to do so in the comments section below.